This is Nityānanda Thakur's appearance?
No, that's already passed. That was yesterday. Yesterday was
Purnima.
Yeah, yesterday was Purnima.
Oh, yesterday.
Yeah.
Shishi Guru Gandhar Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Radha Govind Ki
Jai.
Dali Vishnu Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharyasthatara Sata Shri Srimad Bhai-charana Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Dali Vishnu Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharyasthatara Sata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Gurudev Ki
Jai.
Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Ki
Jai.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda
Jai.
Shri Navadvipdham Ki
Jai.
Ganga Devi Ki
Jai.
Juna Devi Ki
Jai.
Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki
Jai.
Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki
Jai.
Samagata Bhaktavinda Ki
Jai.
Jai Gaura Prema
Anande. Hare Gurve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tishe Nama Nityānandam Namastubhyam Prem Ananda Pradayane Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janava Pataye Nama Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshay Kshiptascha Kamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapannam Brinde Numaste Charanarvindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Astatarasata, Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Asto Tarasata Srila, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Asto Tarasata Srila, Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. So today we will complete the chapter that we've been reading for the last 2 classes, which is full of ecstasy, the deliverance of Jagai Madhai. I will not forget these classes that we had in reading, not all, but a good number of the purports of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Is this focused okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. It's not too high up or too low or...
No.
Okay.
It's got your whole torso and the painting and back.
Okay.
Very much.
Okay. So, the very famous pastime that means so much to all of the Vaishnavas everywhere throughout the world, of the deliverance of Jagai and Madhai, is so fundamentally important for us to fully comprehend and understand the mood, to understand the actual Leela and the pastime, to understand the exchanges, the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the words of Nityānanda Prabhu, of Advaita Acharya, and like that. Because there's so much deep tattva in there, especially Vaishnava tattva. Because Mahaprabhu literally converted them into Mahabhagavats. From being absolute dacoits, drunkards, the most abominable activities, and there was none that they didn't commit. So that pastime represents the entire mood of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu in his preaching mission. What is that mood? Anyone, anywhere. They can be from a dog-eater's family. They can be the most low, fallen, sinful persons. But they are not beyond the mercy of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and especially of Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu. So, we are those Jagai and Madhais, because that's the fact. Jagai and Madhai are simply a representation of this Kali Yuga. Although this is the most fortunate Kali Yuga. Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And that's why all the great saints and sages are calling this the Danya Kali Yuga. That's why the demigods, they want to take birth on this planet to receive this mercy that's never ever available at any other time. But yet it's Kali Yuga. So outwardly, the living entities have become very, very degraded. We see it. It's not hard for us to see that. But the hand of the Supreme Lord, the hand of the most merciful deliverer that has ever appeared in any universe, in all space and all time, That hand of his is active right now in this world, on the very planet where he appeared in our universe. So, therefore, very special dispensation of mercy is being given. And this is absolutely essential for all devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement to understand this point. How great fortune. If we don't understand this, and we don't have that perspective, then we cannot fully become enthusiastic in preaching this mission. We have to understand how rare this opportunity is, how special, how our lives have been absolutely benedicted, how we literally have been saved from wandering for who knows how many more trillions of births in the material universes. We've been saved. We are saved. This is truly the ultimate born-again movement. It is. Dvija. Prabhupada even came to make lechas and yavanas into brahmanas. And this is our philosophy. This is a philosophical point that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur particularly has spoken very much about. And I was hearing a lecture of Srila Prabhupada, one of his Bhagavad Gita lectures, where he actually mentioned this about, he was speaking on this point about how a low-born, fallen person can be made into a brahmana. Who has mentioned this? Sanatana Goswami. Who has mentioned it? It's mentioned all throughout the Shastras, actually. They've collected together all the praman and evidence to prove this point. So Srila Prabhupada, I don't remember the whole context of that particular lecture, but I remember when he was mentioning this, that we should preach in this way. Our movement is for this, for extending this possibility to become a Brahman Vaishnava to anyone born anywhere, right? And then he said, and if you preach like this, my spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, will be also especially pleased because of this particular point. So this is the pastime, which is showing that in the Lord's pastime. Now, he didn't just perform that one pastime of deliverance. While he was on this planet for 48 years, he delivered practically for everyone that came in touch with him. And went all the way down to South India, and went all the way up north, and, even he delivered who? The animals in the jungle. And that Lochan Das Thakur, in his song, Parama Karuna Bahudvijana, I think it's in that song, where he's mentioning, or maybe it's another song of Narottam Das Thakur, where he's saying, Pashupaki Jure, Pashana Vidare, Shuni Jara Gunagata. Pashupaki Jure. That means the birds and the animals. Pashupaki Jure, Pashana Vidare. Not even limited to them. The stones melted. Huh? Shunijar Gunagata. When they heard this glorious qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sankirtan movement, that specific quality of his Sankirtan, his own Kirtan, stones melted. Animals, lower species of life, completely changed their nature. They got up and danced and embraced. Deer and tigers embraced one another, kissing. Huh? We've seen the paintings. So we should know that this pastime is so important. That's why I just felt like, no, this is the opportunity. We just celebrated Nityānanda Trayodasi, and if we do not recount and read this pastime, then we're missing this opportunity. So I'm so happy that I had a very qualified audience to read this along with, and also those of you who are watching online. So today I think we'll see. We have some time limit today, but we'll see. Probably we'll be able to finish this chapter. We're up to verse 339. I think there's around 400 verses, so Now I'm continuing from where I left off, where Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur was describing the bathing in the Ganga and how they were playing like little young children, and then he's mentioning so many names. So I left that for today to read out these names. But he first of all tells that when Mahaprabhu splashed water on the Vaishnavas, and this is the incident after they did kirtan, after, Jagai and Madhai were completely delivered and completely purified. And so all the Vaishnavas went into the water and sported like young boys. They were so overwhelmed with ecstasy in that bathing in the Ganga after the kirtan that they forgot who was the Lord and who were the servants. And when the Lord splashed water on the Vaishnavas, no one could compete with him. They all retreated in defeat. Everyone who engaged in water fights with the Lord retreated after fighting for some time. Sometimes Advaita, Gauranga and Nityānanda, the three of them sported together, and sometimes Haridas, Srivas and Mukunda sported. Then he names all these names of the other Vaishnavas, the eternal associates of the Lord. Śrī Garbha, Śrī Sadashiv, Murari, Shriman, Purushottam, Mukunda, Sanjay, Buddhimantakan, Vidyanidhi, Gangadas, Jagadish, Nama, Gopinath, Haridas, Garuda, Shri Ram, Govinda, Sridhar, Krishnananda, Kashishvara, Jagadananda, Govindananda, Shri Shuklambar, Ananta Chaitanya Bhritya, Koto Jani Nam, Veda Vyas Hoite Vyakta Hoibe Puran. So all these names, among the innumerable servants of Lord Chaitanya present there, were this whole list. And many others whose names I do not know will, in the future, be revealed in the Puranas by Veda Vyas. We also know that this is Veda Vyas incarnation in Gaur Leela of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is telling this. So, yes. So Shri Krishna Dvaipayana Veda Vyas will record the names of Lord Chaitanya's servants in traditional literatures like the Puranas. They all sported in the waters with one another, and in the mellows of ecstatic love, some conquered and some were defeated. Gadadhar and Gauranga engaged in water sports together. Nityānanda and Advaita also sported in the water together. The powerful Nityānanda sportingly splashed water with great force into the eyes of Advaita. Advaita could not open his eyes, so in great anger he abused Nityānanda. Then he said to him, Nityānanda madhyape korila chakshukan, kota hoite madhyapera hoilo upastan. This drunken Nityānanda has made me blind and deaf. From where has this drunkard come? So on the pretext of a loving quarrel, he was saying like this. Then he continued, Advaita continued, Srivas Pandit does not belong to any caste. He brought this avadut from somewhere and gave him a place to stay. So Prabhupada says, Srinivas Pandit has brought avadut Sri Nityānanda and awarded him the qualification to freely mix with us. He's paraphrasing. But we do not know his previous identity. One should not allow this whimsical avadut, who is devoid of family prestige and aristocracy, to constantly remain with Mahaprabhu. That's his intention. Then Advaita says, the stealthy son of Sachi can do so much, yet he constantly enjoys the company of this avadut. Then Nityānanda replied, don't you feel embarrassed to speak like this? You have been defeated, so what is the use of quarreling? He says, you have been defeated in the water fight, yet you do not feel ashamed. Moreover, you approach me to quarrel with your head held high. Gaurachandra said, one time doesn't count. Winning and losing is decided after 3 fights. So Advaita and Nitai again engaged in water fighting. They are one, but for the purpose of sporting, they have become 2. In their water fight, neither could defeat the other. Whoa. Mahavishnu and Baladev Nityānanda, very good opponents. So neither could defeat the other. One time, one conquered, and then the next time he was defeated. And with renewed enthusiasm, Nityānanda forcefully splashed water in Advaita's eyes. Advaita became distressed, and he said, you are intoxicated. You can never become a sannyasi by killing a Brahmin. You have eaten in the houses of people from the West. That's what it actually says here. Paschim, Paschatya Desh, right? No one knows about your family, your birth, or your caste. So, Prabhupada says, those who are particularly proud of their country, they certainly speak harshly about foreigners. People of the East condemn the people of the West as Paschima, or Westerners. What word do we always hear? Yes. They criticize them by calling them low-born. No one knew what family, what class, or what place Nityānanda hailed from. He would wander about eating in the houses of Westerners. We read before, like there were certain, what were they? There was certain, from certain countries, they had come and started to live in India.
In Navadvip specifically.
Yeah, right.
Places.
What were, there was like 2 or 3 different places mentioned. Turks, yeah, Turks. Greeks, yeah, he mentioned that. But of course, Nityānanda Prabhu was born in a Brahmin family, but he never talks about that at all. He probably never ever mentioned it.
Now his district was Radhadesh. Right?
Yes,
And his town was
in Ekachakra, right. Because his father's name was Hadai Pandit. He was a Brahmin Pandit. And that's why, in that verse that I read the other day, which is the invocation verse, and I was breaking it down into each section, that's why it says there, Janulambita Pujo Kanakavadatu Sankirtanaikapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvija Varo. Dvija Varo means the best, they're the topmost, the best, these 2 of the Brahmanas. Yes. So, Advaita, Prabhupada is telling what he's saying. He's saying, no one knows, well, this is first the verse. No one knows about your father, your mother, or your spiritual master. You eat everything, you wear everything, and you advertise yourself as an avaduta. Yes. Then, as Advaita indirectly glorified Nityānanda, on the pretext of criticizing him, Nityānanda Prabhu and his associates laughed. The statements of Advaita are deceiving. They are indicative of Nityananda's glories. On hearing the words of Sri Advaita, Nityānanda Prabhu and his followers began to laugh. Then Acharya Gosai burned with anger as he exclaimed, it will not be my fault when I destroy everyone. And seeing Advaita Acharya's anger, all the devotees laughed. In anger, he actually spoke the truth, which appeared as harsh words. And without understanding the purport of such loving quarrels, if someone, considering them different from each other, criticizes one and glorifies the other, he will be burned to death. So Prabhupada says, those foolish people who cannot enter into the loving quarrels of Advaita and Nityananda, they criticize one and they glorify the other. And as a result, they are burned to death in the forest fire of offense. Nityānanda Gaura Chandra Jari Kripa Kari Se Vaishnav Vakya Buji Bari Pari. Only one who is favored by Nityānanda and Gaura Chandra can understand the words of the Vaishnavas. So after Nityānanda and Advaita engaged in ecstatic pastimes for some time, then they embraced each other. The two Prabhus were greatly intoxicated with the mellows of love for Gaura Chandra. Thereafter, Nityānanda floated around in the waters of the Ganga. In this way, the Lord and his associates engaged every night in water sports after kirtan. Human beings have no power to see such pastimes, but the demigods secretly watched them. After taking bath in the Ganga, Gaura Chandra and his associates came out of the water and loudly chanted the names of Hari. Thereafter, the Lord gave everyone garlands and sandalwood paste that had been offered, and then they took leave and they went to eat. The Lord entrusted Jagai and Madhai to the devotees, and then offered his own garlands to the two. Although the Vedas describe their appearance and their disappearance, these pastimes have no beginning and no end. After returning home, the Lord washed his feet and offered obeisances to Tulsi. Thereafter, Vishwambar sat down to eat, and Mother Shachi brought the offered foods before him. The Lord of unlimited universes offered prayers to all the devotees and then began to eat. And after honoring the Mahaprasadam with great satisfaction, the Lord purified his mouth and sat down in the doorway. As Mother Sachi and her daughter-in-law saw these pastimes of the Lord to the full satisfaction of their eyes, they floated in an ocean of bliss. Who can describe the limit of Mother Sachi's good fortune? Only the thousand-headed Lord is able if he is empowered. Yes. Who can describe the limit of Mother Sachi's good fortune? Only the thousand-headed Lord is able if he is empowered. Even if one utters the word I, A-I, as a mundane word, by the influence of the word I, one will be freed from all suffering. Purport. The word I is derived from the Sanskrit word Arya. Arya. I. Those who call Sri Gaura Sundar's mother I will be freed from all miseries. On seeing the lotus face of her son, Sachi, the mother of the universe, forgot where she was. Yes. Being bewildered by the beauty of the Lord's face, she even forgot her motherly sentiments and her parental affection for her son. And then when Vishwambar went to sleep, then the demigods would secretly take leave. The demigods, headed by the four-headed Brahma and the five-headed Shiva, would daily come to serve Lord Chaitanya. That's why when we sing in the Artik, Vasiyachan Gaura Chandra, Ratna Singhasane, Arati Koren Brahma, Adi Deva Gane. So all the demigods and Brahma, they were singing. And Shiva Shuka Narada. Without the Lord's sanction, no one could see these pastimes. Only one who is favored by the Lord can speak to others about this. One day as Vishwambar was sitting there, some of his associates came before him. The Lord told them, "Wait there. while 4-headed and 5-headed personalities rolled on the ground in the courtyard. Yeah. Yes. The Lord told his associates, because they couldn't see.
Oh, they couldn't see.
No. And there, he said, wait there, don't come, because the 4-headed and the 5-headed personalities are rolling on the ground in the courtyard. No one could estimate how many personalities were there. Don't you recognize these persons? All the devotees replied to the Lord with folded hands, O Lord, the inhabitants of the 3 worlds, they are your servants. They serve you. What power do we have to see? Only you can give us the ability to see. These confidential pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are most wonderful. Esab adbhuta Chaitanyara Gupta Katha. Gupta Katha means very, very hidden. Yes. Confidential. Very, very hidden and confidential. Vrindavandas Thakur is telling, Sarva Siddhi hoy, Vine Prabhu tumi dile drishti adhikar. Only you can give us the ability to see. What power do we have to see? Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Jiv Ki Nitai Gauranga Ki. So, here Vrindavandas Thakur is saying all of these Adabhuta Chaitanyara Gupta Katha, these amazing, wonderful, confidential katha, sarva siddhi hoy, iha shunile sarvata. If one hears them, he achieves all perfection. Do not manifest any doubts. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva would daily come to see Gauranga. In this way, Sri Gaurachandra, the life and soul of the universe, delivered Jagai and Madhai. Gaurachandra will deliver everyone except those sinful persons who do what? Blaspheme Vaishnavas. He says, Vyatirikta Vaishnav Nindak Durachar. They will remain very far away. They'll not be delivered. Shulapani Samajadi Bhakta Nindakore Bhagavata Praman Tatapiha Shigramare. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 10th chapter, even if someone on the level of Lord Shiva blasphemes a devotee, he will soon be destroyed. Just imagine. Even on the level of Lord Shiva. Mahad Vimana Svakrita Di Madrinankshatya. That's a tough one. Adurad Api Shulapani. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, who's saying this? No, Vrindavandas Thakur is saying. He's saying because of this, because of what? Because even if someone on the level of Lord Shiva blasphemes a devotee, he will be destroyed. So because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I shall be vanquished without delay due to my offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Is that not important? It's probably the most important thing that every devotee eventually has to really, really take very deeply into their heart. Otherwise, they can't advance. Even if they do little offenses. You know, sometimes Gurudev, he would say, even when you are, playing amongst yourselves, when you are joking amongst yourselves and so forth, still, you should be a little bit careful because inadvertently, you may commit some Vaishnava aparad.
I heard Guru.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I should mention the name, but I heard Gurudev say in probably 97, 98, a GBC had come for a darshan. But he had said in that darshan, right after he entered, that even if a person is weak and has some trouble, fall down, he said, as long as he does not change the philosophy or offend any devotee either above him or below him.
Mm-hmm.
He specifically said that.
What year was that?
Probably 97, 98.
Okay.
It was in East Bay.
Yeah.
And so he had just come in for darshan, and Gurudev called him up, recognizing him,
Mm-hmm.
and wanted him to sit right next to him, but he had
I was there. Now I remember.
he had the good sense to say no, 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 and he sat right at his feet.
Yeah.
And then Gurudev, right after he was there, made this comment
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that as long as a person does not twist the philosophy
Change the
or
philosophy.
offend a devotee either above him or below him, which I thought
Yes.
was interesting.
Yeah. We've heard Gurudev also say that sinful activities, they're not very formidable. They're actually quite weak enemies. As Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to say that. Weak enemies. But Vaishnava Parad is very, very formidable. So that's why we see this repeatedly in the Caitanya-bhagavata. And these lessons are taught by Mahaprabhu with his own associates and also with various other personnel. All throughout Mahaprabhu's pastimes, you see this again and again. So, in all the scriptures it is stated, all the scriptures, it is stated that if an all-knowing person, that means a sarvagya, that's the word used here, sarvagya, means knowing all. If an all-knowing person blasphemes a Vaishnava, he will certainly fall down. Yes. Adapat.
I just have to ask this one question.
Yeah.
So does blaspheme specifically mean saying something untrue about a Vaishnava? In other words, even those who would offend Mahabhagavata say you're saying something not true because they're not representing their true glories. And so is it specifically blaspheme mean saying something untrue?
Well, it means that you are deriding this person. You know, you're well, especially when someone lies,
Right.
and which we've seen happen again and again. Lying. Yeah, that's Vaishnava Ninda. That's serious Vaishnava Ninda. First of all, you can't find any fault in a pure Vaishnava. Anyone that finds any fault, they're finished. They're finished. And it depends on the level of the Vaishnava. Yes, we just heard, Gurudev also said, above and below. But at the same time, you know, the Vaishnava, who's even in a junior position or so-called lower position, he may have advanced considerably. He may have really tried to surrender. A very sincere soul he may be, or she. But if somebody blasphemes them, and we know there are 6 different types of Vaishnava aparad. Here it's mainly talking about Vaishnava Ninda, which is only one of the 6. Okay? Criticizing and blaspheming a Vaishnava.
In the Torah, it says one of the serious sins in the 10 Commandments is to
Use the
bear.
mic.
Even they knew to not bear false witness
Yeah.
against them.
Well, that's in the 10 Commandments also. Yeah. So, Prabhupada, on this verse, I'm reading this verse again, in all scriptures it is stated that if an all-knowing person blasphemes a Vaishnava, he will certainly fall down. Then Prabhupada says, even after achieving all perfection, aim, which is the ultimate atonement does not deliver one who offends a Vaishnava. That's a serious thing to understand. We've heard it many times. And the whole story of Maharaj Ambarish and Durvasa Rishi is illustrating that point. Goes directly to the Supreme Lord himself, and who can be a greater authority? He says, no, I'm not independent. I can't forgive you. I'm not independent. So, now Prabhupada explains, Krishna's name, which is the ultimate atonement, does not deliver one who offends a Vaishnava. So in the purport he says, the holy names of the Lord have more power for destroying sinful reactions than all other kinds of atonement mentioned in the Smritis. But first offense, is it not? In the list of 10 offenses to the holy name, Sadhu Ninda, it's called. So if one commits offenses against the holy names, he cannot possibly attain Nam Abbas, which means a glimpse of offenseless chanting. Nam Abbas. If one commits offenses against the holy name, he cannot possibly attain Nam Abbas, or the fruits of chanting the holy names. Padma Puraner Vachan. One who honors the following confidential words of the Padma Purana will attain ecstatic love of God. What are those words? What we used to repeat. The Sanskrit for the 10 offenses. In 1977, when I was with Prabhupada in Vrindavan, the Gurukula kids would be in the temple room in the morning, I think before breakfast, and they would all be sitting together and they would actually recite. This is only the first offense, but they would recite all the list in Sanskrit. And from the Padma Purana. So what does this mean? This means to blaspheme the great saintly persons who are preaching the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the worst offense at the lotus feet of the holy name. Who is identical with Krishna will never tolerate such blasphemous activities, even from one who passes as a great devotee. One who hears this narration regarding the deliverance classes, Brahma Daitya Taran Goranga Jaya Jai Karana Sagara Prabhu Parama Sadai. All glories to Gauranga, who delivered the 2 Brahman demons. O Lord, you are an ocean of mercy and the most compassionate. Sahasra Karana Sindhu Maha Kripamoy Doshanahi Deke Prabhu Gana Matralai. The Lord's supreme mercy is as vast as 1,000 oceans. He sees the good qualities of others and he never finds fault in them. Heno Prabhu Virahe Jai Papi Pran Rahe Sabe Paramayu Gu. A sinful life, devoid of the association of such a Lord, has no benefit other than its long duration. Here's the purport. Mahaprabhu, who maintains his life devoid of the service of that Mahaprabhu, is useless. He continues his life simply due to his past karma. But such an existence is never praiseworthy. Did you see it go on and off or something?
Yeah, just very quickly, had to refresh.
Okay. So then Vrindavan Das Thakur is praying. Tata piha e kripa koro mahashai Shravane vadane jena Torah yasha loy. O Lord, your mercy on me, so that I may hear and chant your glories. Amar Prabhur Prabhu Gauranga Sundar Yata Vaishe Tata Jena Hon. Who is that? Nityānanda Prabhu. It is my desire that I may become their servant, birth after birth. Adi Antya Nahi Jani Jete Mate Chaitanyara Yasha Se Vakani. There is neither a beginning or end to the topics regarding Lord Chaitanya. Yet, somehow or other, I am narrating his and them. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityānanda Chanda Jan, Vrindavana Das Tachu Pada Juge Gan. This is the last verse. Accepting Sri Caitanya Nityānanda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their. Thus ends this English translation of the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary on Śrī Caitanya-bhagavata, Madhya Kanda, chapter 13, entitled The Deliverance of Jagai and Madhai. Gaur Prem Anande Hari Hari. 14 is called Yamaraja's Sankirtan. Now I remember hearing Bhakti Swarup Sridhar Maharaj saying, you know that Yamaraj loves Harinam Sankirtan. So this is the actual chapter. We'll hear this and then we'll understand. This chapter describes the daily service rendered to Śrī Caitanya by the demigods, headed by Brahma and Shiva. It also describes their astonishment on seeing the deliverance of Jagai and Madhai. Then, Yamaraj's inquiry from Chitragupta about the extent of Jagai and Madhai's sins and the means of deliverance from those sins. Yamaraj's astonishment and falling unconscious. Then the chanting of Krishna's glories in his ear by Brahma, Shiva, and other demigods. Then it describes Yamaraj's return to external consciousness and the ecstatic chanting and the dancing by the demigods with Yamaraj. So the demigods, headed by Brahma and Shiva, they would come daily to Mahaprabhu's house, and after secretly performing various services and observing the Lord's daily pastimes, they would return home. So on seeing the deliverance of the two great sinners, the demigods were astonished as they realized the unlimited glories of Mahaprabhu. They felt particularly joyful by maintaining in their hearts the hope that by the mercy of Gaur Sundar they would also be delivered. And when Yamaraj inquired from Chitragupta about the extent of Jagai and Madhai's sins and how those sins were totally destroyed, then Chitragupta said that the two had performed so many sinful activities that if 100,000 scribes narrated them for 1 month, and if Yamaraj heard them with 100,000 ears, they would not reach the end. His scribes were incapable of recording their sinful activities, which they continually heard from the mouths of the Yamadutas. Whoa.
They're being observed.
They were particularly unhappy to think about how the two would tolerate the painful punishment resulting from their unlimited sinful activities. But by the boundless mercy of Mahaprabhu, all their sinful reactions were destroyed within a moment. We have to remember that, right?
Yeah,
It didn't take long.
And in their previous incarnations, they actually had to be killed by the Lord, but this one,
Yeah.
he just killed their
Yes.
demonic tendencies.
Yes. So after hearing the description of the deliverance of Jagai and Madhai from the mouth of Chitragupta, Yamaraj fell unconscious in his chariot due to love of Krishna, and his subordinates, headed by Chitragupta, began to cry out. As the demigods and the sages, headed by Brahma, Shiva, and Narad, passed by, singing the glories of Mahaprabhu's unlimited mercy and the topics of the two demons' deliverance, they saw Yamaraj lying unconscious in his chariot. And when they inquired about the reason for this, Chitragupta related the entire incident to them. On realizing that Yamaraj was absorbed in love for Krishna, the demigods chanted Krishna's name in his ear, and the son of Surya regained his external consciousness. So thereafter, in ecstatic love, Yamaraj and the demigods danced and sang the glories of Mahaprabhu's unlimited mercy and the topics of Jagai and Madhai's deliverance. And they prayed to Mahaprabhu that they may be delivered like Jagai and Madhai. That's the summary of the next chapter. We'll have to do our own personal studies because we've got other topics coming. Tomorrow is the Transcendental Appearance Day of Nityānanda Pravishto Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Sri Srila Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj. It's not tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday, right? Oh, it's on Saturday. Okay. The day after tomorrow is the appearance day. And then we have one day in between, Sunday. And then on Monday is it the appearance day or disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta? Appearance day. Is the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. What great, glorious good fortune we have to be here in New Braj, to hear all this nectar of their charitra, their character, their qualities, their preaching, their pastimes, their very, very wonderful opportunity for us. So for the next, well, let's see, tomorrow is not that day, so we will resume our, what? Yes. Vilapa Kushamanjali. And then, on Param Gurudev's day, we'll have, is there a plan to have
yes,
a morning festival?
The program we'll start a little early, 10:30, and then we're
Okay.
taking class from 11 to 12:45.
Okay.
So we can do group puja at 12:45, RT at 1, and then everyone will go straight from Prasadam down to Harinam around 2.
Oh, that's right. You're all planning to go on Harinam.
So
Say
we're
the
gonna-
timing again?
Bhajans at 10:30, class at 11,
Yeah.
and group puja at 12:45.
11, 12.
So 11.
So that's an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite sufficient.
Yes.
And then Guru Puja after that.
Yes.
And then at 1 o'clock the normal arti time. And then prasadam is served. And
away we go.
oh yeah, I saw that on the bulletin board. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't have the physical stamina to be able to do
Give
that.
us your blessing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. You know, I saw recently somewhere I saw a video that was taken at the truckers gathering up in Ottawa. And the devotees were up on a stage. It was Gauradas. And then there were maybe about 6 or 7 devotees who also had the Madanga and they had kartals. And it was like, you can see it's really cold, it's very cold there. But all the people were standing. There were thousands and thousands of people. And one devotee read out, I don't know who he was, he looked much older, so maybe he was a Prabhupada disciple, I don't know. But he read out some kind of speech to them, which was nice, and kind of letting them understand how the whole desire for freedom is a spiritual desire and all of this. So, and then Gauradas started to chant the Mahamantra. And of course, a lot of the people there, I don't think they probably even had a banner with the Mahamantra on it. But all the people were hearing, and I was watching, and Gaura was sincerely, really, and I was appreciating that Mahaprabhu would be pleased by this, that the Mahamantra is being chanted. So, when I see a small group of devotees going out for Harinam Sankirtan, what do I remember? Chicago. That first year, every day, 6 hours, in the snow, in the below zero weather, in whatever conditions were there. And that's where we get the mercy. So it's good, I'm happy to hear. Are you going to be able to accompany them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. How many are there so far?
Not so many because, many people are gone right now. But,
Yeah.
Probably 8 to 10, not a big group.
Right, have to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Jai Ho.
Yeah, if there was one of those demonstrations, I've always found when we do Harinams at demonstrations, they were always the best. You got the most participation, whether it was anti-Vietnam War or whatever it was, at the bank burning of the Bank of America in Santa Barbara, I got to experience. Like any of these places, that's when the people really participate and really appreciate the devotees at those demonstrations.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiu Ki Jai. Śrī Caitanya-bhagavata ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Jai, the deliverance of Jagai and Madhai ki jai. Yamaraja Sankirtan ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. You can stop. Hare Krishna.